In 2021, investigators at the Lizzie Borden house uncovered a chilling claim from a distant cousin that the Bordens just might have been steeped in devil worship. Well, if that's true, then it could explain the little-known blood-soaked family history that's far darker than those infamous axe murders that shocked the world. Sometime before the spring of 1832, a lady named Sarah Marie Cornell, a distant cousin of Lizzie Borden's, crossed paths with a man named Ephraim Kingsbury Avery. He was a handsome Methodist minister. How they met isn't really clear. Some say that she was a parishioner at his church. Others say that she worked for him as a housekeeper. I bet that both of those are probably true. Well, whatever the case, the attraction was instant and fierce. They flirted shamelessly, whether it was in town or during his sermons. Picture Sarah in the pews, biting her lip, staring him down while he fumbles his words at the pulpit. In private, he probably begged her to stop, especially since, well, he was married with 2 kids. This affair was a sin. It was a scandal that could ruin his career and his life. Ephraim knew he was playing with fire, but he just couldn't quit her. Then, in September of 1832, Sarah dropped a bombshell, and I bet you can guess what it was, can't you? Sarah was pregnant. Well, this definitely was not a good thing for a Methodist minister, so he, of course, urged her to end it, and fast. Sarah, though, had other plans. Well, they kept meeting, in secret, of course, and every time that they did, he'd press her. Had she taken care of it yet? Well, she'd say no, but soon. By December, her pregnancy was starting to show, and whispers were spreading through the town. Well, Ephraim couldn't have that, so he sent her a letter to meet him at an old farm just outside of town on Thursday, December 20th. Sarah, thrilled as always, headed out to see him, but this time, she never came back. Now, check this out. Amy and I are launching a brand new YouTube channel tonight. We're calling it Valarcana.
It starts with the Amy Hoffman case. Detectives were stumped until a psychic got involved.
Yeah, we actually traveled out and we did an in-person interview with one of the officers on that case.
Now, our new channel is more laid back than this one, mixing solidly established stories with anecdotal mysteries.
Yeah, but not just any anecdotal mysteries.
Right, these will be ones that I have thoroughly researched. And many of you have also said you really missed the Amy's interview segment. Well, check this out. The new channel has them, but we're calling them the DNA.
Right, the DNA. How awesome does that sound? In the DNA segments, we're going to be unpacking those stories and kind of giving you our opinions of what we think about them.
Right. And do you want free merch? Well, this YouTube journey has been amazing, and we've been touched in one way or another by so many of our fans. Well, we want to express our gratitude.
So, at the end of tonight's report on the other channel, we'll be choosing a random viewer to give away some free merch.
Yeah, and this is not a contest. There's nothing you need to do. We're just grateful and genuinely want to give back. Links to the new channel are in the description and on the end screen.
Yeah, and the first episode starts tonight, right after this one, at 7 p.m. Eastern. So, now let's get back to the disappearance of Sarah Cornell. So, the next morning, Friday, December 21st, John Durfee spotted what he first thought was a dummy hanging from a pole on his father's farm. Well, as he got closer, he froze. It was, of course, the body of Sarah Cornell. Her neck was in a noose, and dried blood caked her face and her clothing. Authorities swarmed in, and they confirmed that it was indeed Sarah. An autopsy discovered bruises covering her body, especially her abdomen. And when it was discovered that she was pregnant, well, everyone knew why. Whoever had done this wanted her unborn child gone too. Now, here's the first sign that something out of the ordinary just might have been at play. Despite these clear signs of murder, her death was ruled a suicide. Horrible, right? So, although people were definitely whispering about Sarah's possible affair with the distinguished Reverend Avery, no charges were filed. Well, that ruling, of course, stunned the town. I mean, injustice abounds, right? Remember, this was 1832, and folks in this area were deeply religious, and they weren't about to tolerate a scandal, especially involving a man of God. So with no justice in sight, the town took matters into their own hands, and about a week later, nearly everyone gathered, torches lit, surrounding Avery's home, hurling stones, and demanding that the Reverend come clean. Well, just before things got really ugly, the crowd was calmed down. But now, of course, in order to keep the peace, charges had to be filed. But here's where things get strange, like something unholy might have been at play. Avery, facing a possible death sentence, didn't seem worried at all. As a matter of fact, rumors swirled that he would often slip away and perform these rituals. Some people thought, well, they were prayers to God. But others thought, well, maybe the devil was involved. Well, evidence piled up. Witnesses confirmed the affair. A doctor came forward. Dr. Thomas Wilbur said that Sarah told him that Avery was indeed the father. And then a note was even found in Sarah's room, seemingly all but nailing the final nail into the coffin of Avery's fate.
If I should be missing, inquire of the Reverend Mr. Ephraim Avery of Bristol. He will know where I am.
And it only got worse. There were love letters that were discovered that really should have just sealed this case. It should have been a slam dunk. But on June 2nd, 1833, as if by some dark miracle, Avery was pronounced not guilty. Just 10 years after Sarah Cornell's murder and Reverend Avery's strange acquittal, on March 16, 1843, Eliza Darling, a gentle relative of Lizzie Borden, married Lodwick Borden. Well, their love was deep. It was nothing like the unholy love affair from the previous segment. They couldn't get enough of each other, and they started their family fast. On October 22, 1844, Eliza gave birth to their first child, a daughter, Maria. She was a beautiful, kind girl, like her mother. Lodwick worked long hours, while Eliza stayed home and made the place warm. Soon, they welcomed two more children, a daughter, Eliza, named of course after her mother, and a son, Holder. Well, about 5 months after Holder's birth, things turned strange. Eliza's happy smile faded, and she stopped laughing at Ludwig's jokes. Maybe he just wasn't funny. I know, probably a bad place for me to put that joke. But then she neglected her chores, leaving them for the servant girl. She even seemed to start resenting her own children, acting like they were more of a burden than a blessing. Ludwig, of course, was stumped. Was she sick? Falling out of love with him, maybe? Or could it be something darker? In town, rumors swirled that the devil had gotten into her. Well, Ludwig tried to talk to her, but when he did, she would just stare blankly at the wall, expressionless. Then, on May 4th, 1848, some say Eliza seemed briefly like her old self again, buzzing around, acting happy. Ludwig left for work that day, hopeful. Well, around 4 p.m., Eliza sent the servant girl out to fetch some water, a task that she knew would take a bit of time. Then she grabbed her husband's straight razor and, the story gets me. She took her two children down into the cellar, carrying this flickering candle as she went. And in this dark, damp area, she led her children, with them trusting her, to the edge of the cistern. Now, this is a horrible part. It's gruesome. I don't like sharing it. So please, I completely understand. If this isn't for you, skip ahead now, and you won't have to hear it. Well, she grabbed Eliza and Holder by their little necks, and then shoved their faces into the water, and held them there as they struggled. Some experts say that this could have taken as long as 5 minutes. Well, when her children finally stopped moving and their little bodies floated face down, Eliza let go. And I wish that I could say that she got the justice that she deserved, but she didn't. Instead, she stood up and then stepped behind the chimney, and then she took her husband's straight razor and she cut her throat, bleeding out in seconds. a much quicker death than she had given her children. The cistern, collecting rainwater in the cellar, of course, became their graves. And this house is open to the public, and many have said that they can still hear the children's bubbling cries coming up from the cellar when they visit. So no doubt, at this point, you're probably wondering how all of this comes together, right? Well, let's see if we can tie it up, shall we? Before the end of the century, the Borden family faced 2 more murders, and you likely know of these murders. It's a Lizzie Borden story, but for those of you who don't, let me quickly recap. On August 4th, 1892, right around 10 a.m., Abby Borden, that was Lizzie Borden's stepmother, was hacked to death on the 2nd floor with an axe. Well, within an hour, Andrew Borden, that was Lizzie Borden's father, was cut down too with an axe after his morning walk. Well, despite piles and piles of evidence, Lizzie was acquitted. Does that sound familiar? But the real mystery lies in what happened the night before, suggesting that dark forces just might have ran through the Borden bloodline. During her research, Amy uncovered a chilling rumor. The story goes like this. On Wednesday, August 3rd, the day before the murders, a man named John Moores visited the Borden home. John Moores was Lizzie's uncle, and he got to the house right around 1:30. He visited for a few hours, and then he left, and he was gone for about 5 hours. And here's where that rumor comes in. Some say that during that time, he and Lizzie actually met up and had a satanic ritual of some sort. And of course, it was the very next day that Lizzie's parents were found murdered. So, where do we get this rumor? Well, as I stated in my open in 2021, investigators met at the Lizzie Borden home. But unlike many other investigative teams who have done this countless times before, this team brought along one of Lizzie Borden's family members. And as they were all sitting around discussing the family history, someone brought up the rumor that the family just might have been involved in Satan worship. And this family member confirmed that that was a real possibility.
I do think she did do it. However, I don't think that she was in control of her body. I do think that Lizzie is definitely predisposed to being taken over by a dark entity.
So, what is that? Like demonic possession?
If she was possessed and killed her father, she didn't kill her father. The devil did.
Perhaps the most convincing piece of evidence that there really was a satanic force running through the Borden bloodline came from a voice that was heard on an EVP recorder. Psychic Chris Fleming, that's a man with 30 years experience in the paranormal, using an EVP asked, "Who are you?" And then a reply was clearly heard on the machine saying, "Un velo," which in Italian means veil. So, is that like what? Some evil spirit that's hiding its identity?
I was upstairs and the thing was coming through. I was connected with it and I felt its anger. And then it called me something. So this thing has taken the face of many names. This thing has many faces. That's how it stays hidden. It tricks people.
While they were there, the team drove out to the place where Lizzie's uncle, John Moores, once lived. His house has been long since torn down, and now the area is just endless woods. Well, at one point, when someone asked to the open air if the Bordens really were cursed, a static answer came from the car radio, which was tuned to a station that was now out of reach. The crackling stopped, and everyone clearly heard the car speakers say, "Satan."
Satan.
During a seance, the team stated that a spirit said that a demon was in the house, and when pressed further, a voice out of the air was clearly heard by everyone, and it only said 2 words: pure evil. So what's the deal with this one? Is Satan really tied to the Borden bloodline? Did an evil spirit possess Lizzie and cause her to swing that axe? What about the distinguished Reverend Avery or Eliza Darling? Well, Amy dug deep, and there's no solid proof that anyone in the Borden family was actually into devil worship at all. There's no evidence that John Moores and Lizzie held that satanic ritual, or that Avery was into the occult. I think with that one, he was probably just very well connected and dodged to that verdict. And that's horrible. But calling the Bordens drenched in bloodshed, well, I think that that's a stretch. Eliza was Lizzie's great aunt, yes, and she did indeed drown her kids. But Sarah Cornell? Well, she was a distant cousin, fifth or sixth, barely related. Now, I'm not saying that demons don't exist. Maybe they do. But for me, it's about personal responsibility. There is no demon in existence that could make me harm someone that I love. I think about Amy, and I know that that would be impossible. I think whoever chopped up Lizzie's parents did so of their own free will. I think Eliza also acted of her own volition. I do think that most likely she probably had postpartum depression. But it is interesting, isn't it, how some visitors to her house say that they can hear the children's cries for help coming up from the cellar? Spooky. What about you? Do you believe in demonic possessions? And if you do, what does that say about free will? Are the possessed not responsible for their actions? Now, don't forget, tonight we debut our sister channel, Valarcana. So take a break, get a snack, and meet us over there at 7 p.m. That's just about 10 minutes from now. See you there.